Welcome. My name is Amy Bauer, and I am the managing principal and co-founder of CA Search Advisors, an executive search firm focused on the real estate industry. As part of our Women in Real Estate series today, I am thrilled to have Amy Sitzman, Executive Managing Director at 𝗥𝗲 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀 Real Estate Advisors, joining us. Amy, thank you for being part of WIRES today.
Absolutely. Thank you for including me. I'm excited to chat with you.
This is wonderful. This is going to be fun. To start, we talk a little bit about 𝗥𝗲 and your role as the Executive Managing Director.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. So my name's Amy Sitzman. I work with 𝗥𝗲 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀 Real Estate Advisors. We are primarily a sell-side advisory firm, which basically means that we are working with the sell side from a brokerage perspective, mostly advising people on the sale of an asset, but then also sometimes on the operations of an asset. We have been around for 12 years now, since 2013, and started out as senior housing and skilled nursing was kind of our primary focus, and then we've since grown. So now we have MOB in our practice. We've got a behavioral side vertical to our practice, and then we also added a capital markets division of our practice as well. So just continuing to grow and evolve.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, you started out in healthcare in medical systems. And you actually majored at the University of Arizona in Health and Human Services. What attracted you to healthcare? What drew you to healthcare?
You know, I think it was a class, to be quite honest. I was in college getting through knocking out all the kind of general education you need. And then come junior year, you can start doing some things that are of interest. I don't really know why I stumbled upon a healthcare class, but it was a healthcare and public policy class, which seems not exciting. But for whatever reason in that class, I was like, I was just so focused on it. I thought it was the most interesting thing. And then that's when I discovered that there was a major you could do, which was Health and Human Services Administration. And so I shifted my focus. I was just in general kind of business, but went over to now I got a degree in business and public administration, as opposed to, I think, a Bachelor of Science. I got a BPA as opposed to a BS. And so I started taking a bunch of healthcare classes, loved it, was, acing the classes. And then in trying to figure out what I wanted to do with that, the goal was in my brain was that I wanted to be the CEO of a hospital. I just thought that was so interesting. My friend's dad, who was in sales, said, "Oh, you don't want to do that." But you don't know that you don't want to do that, right? Unless you get into the healthcare space and know that you don't want to do that. So his recommendation was you should get into sales. I think you've got a sales personality, and then you'll get to know all the different aspects of the hospital system. And then you'll know if you really want to be the CEO of a hospital. So I thought that was interesting. So I rolled straight out of college with a job in medical sales, selling imaging equipment. I was selling MRIs, CAT scans. The job took me to Connecticut. I'm from Arizona, but it took me to Connecticut for a year. And then from there, they could put me anywhere in the US, and ended up planting me in California, which is where I live still. I've been there since 99. And I got to selling MRIs, CAT scans, cath labs, just all the capital imaging equipment. And, you kind of fall into something, and then it's almost hard to get out of it.
Yep.
Because you start to get the experience in that one job. Throughout my time in healthcare, I would say there was actually a time where I was approached by somebody that does what you do. And I was told, you should do this job. You'd be really good at this job. And we never ended up making it work. And I continued to sell medical imaging equipment. At one point, I was a nuclear sales specialist for 7 years.
Okay.
I think I did every sales class, I think, known to mankind. So after 15 years of that, I think I knew what sales was all about, but I didn't want to be the CEO of a hospital anymore. I liked the flexibility that the job offered me, which was as a salesperson and having 2 kids during that time, getting married. I can make my own schedule. I always worked from home. I was not beholden to going into an office either. And so I think I got very comfortable with that and very good at that. But I really kind of started to hate what I did. And you kind of start to reflect at a certain point, like, wait, why am I doing this? How did I fall into this? why am I still doing it? And it's hard to like switch because once you've been doing something for so long, it's scary to think about starting over again.
Right.
In anything. So I think after so many years of doing that, you know, I ran into a person who I know, and randomly in like the hotel lobby of a hotel locally, and was chatting with her as I was waiting to meet with some of the executives of my company. And she's like, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Oh, here's what I do. Like, I just really want to get out of it. I want to do something else." And so she introduced me to title sales.
Okay.
She ran the Chicago title office in Arizona, one of the Arizona branches. And she introduced me to a guy who basically, within a couple hours, gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse. So I decided at almost 40 that I was going to jump ship and start all over and explore a new industry. But the one thing that I knew was sales, right? So it's kind of like you take your skill and you just apply it to a new thing and decide something new to learn, you know? So that's what I did. So I did that with title for a little bit. And then I actually did not like that job at all. I think what I found in that job was, and I kind of still had a little bit of the same struggles when I moved over to Blueprint, which was when you don't start out at 20 years old or 22, whatever it is, when you graduate from college, and you don't start out doing a certain thing and you can say, "Oh, I've been doing this job in this industry for 25 years," which I can't say. There's something that feels a little discrediting about that, I guess. Where, you know, it's not that I maybe don't know any more than necessarily the next guy, but no, when somebody says, "How long have you been brokering?" It's been 8 years. How long have I been in the senior housing space? I could probably say it's been 10 or 11 years.
Right.
But then when you talk to the next person that says, "Oh, but yet I've been in the business world
Right.
for 25 years," right?
Right.
So when somebody says, "Oh, well, how long you been in?" And you're like, "Oh, you know, 8 years, 10 years, 11 years, whatever number you want to look at." And someone else says, "Well, I've been doing this for 28 years or whatever." And you're like, okay, for some reason that makes you feel a little like, if like, okay, well, shouldn't make me like any less qualified to do something like the next guy, you know?
Right.
But those are some of the challenges I probably have. I'm kind of jumping all over the place.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But you did, I mean, you made this transition from medical sales to like estate sales. So, you know, again, taking your sales skills with you. What were some of the challenges though of switching into real estate sales that you faced? And the opportunities that you saw?
Yeah, you know, so title, you know, the nice thing about title was even though I did not like the job, it afforded me the opportunity to actually just explore all the different verticals within real estate because there's many, right? There's office and industrial and retail and hospitality, and then there's senior housing.
Right.
And I think that spoke to me not only because it was a twist on healthcare, which I knew, but also because I went to all the different conferences. And again, I felt like I started from scratch. "Hi, my name is Amy. It's nice to meet you. You have no idea who I am." I felt like it took years for me to validate like my age too. Like, right. Because oftentimes people would be like, "Oh, how old are you how fresh out of high school are you?" You know, as a younger woman, I'd have to wear pantsuits because I didn't want people, you know, treating me any differently because they saw me in a skirt or so. I mean, there's certain like challenges you have to overcome, everything from age to gender to everything. And you want people to take you seriously. So it was meeting all these different folks, but I went to my first senior housing conference, I think in March of 2015. And I was like, these people are fabulous. People were so nice. They were like, "Come join our party," very like welcoming. And "What can I teach you?" And they weren't pushing me out the door. And I think it's because there wasn't a lot of title people trying to make a push into senior housing, or everywhere else it was like I was competing against every title person out there. So people were willing to allow me in. And then I was introduced to Blueprint and I was told, "You should do sales as a broker. You'd be a better broker than a title rep." And I was like, okay. Again, like just taking the opportunities as they come.
Right.
So chatted with Blueprint for a while. And then got my license. And then I kind of sort of it was an interesting way to roll into it because I was able to meetings with some Blueprint folks.
Right.
Both from purposes of title and also to make introductions to them. So it was kind of like a double whammy. So it made it a very easy transition for me to go into sales with as a broker. And it was just learning, right? So I kind of like sat and listened to 𝗥𝗲𝗃 basically, who I was working with mostly for the first year, and just listened to all his phone conversations and thought, okay, I can do this. And after about a year, I was like, I got this, like, let me go. So I took down Arizona as kind of my focused state because I knew Arizona. I was from Arizona. I knew the geography really well. So I got my feet really wet in that state. So today people are always like, aren't you from Arizona? They all think that's Arizona. I'm like, no, I haven't lived in Arizona for like 25 years, but they think I'm the Arizona person, which is fine, right? So call me if you have an Arizona opportunity, you know, fine. But yeah, so I did that and I quickly rose. I rose really fast through the job titles. And that was really I think a factor of the motivation on why I wanted to leave medical sales was I felt like no matter how hard I worked, I felt like I would make less every year.
Okay.
Because they would always raise the bar.
Okay.
And I remember when I met with Jake and I was chatting with him about Blueprint, and I was like, oh, you mean you don't change the comp structure like every year? It's always this. And if I blow it out, I blow it out. And he was like, yeah, I thought that's exactly how it should be.
Right.
So I think I just finally got to work hard and get paid what I probably felt like I should have been getting paid for many years for the amount of work that I put in. And so quickly rose. I had people say to me, I feel like every time I open up LinkedIn, you've got like a promotion. And I was like, right, because
well deserved.
yeah, right. I was like, well, I mean, it's because I was chasing after the next goal, you know? And my goal was to get to the top. What I didn't expect was 5 years into the company, being a broker for the first time ever, that I would be invited to become a partner with Blueprint. And that was a really good feeling, obviously. I mean, that's by and far probably one of the biggest accomplishments is to just hit that, to hit partnership level ownership within a company. You know, obviously I'm the only woman that's a partner at Blueprint, and you know, it just feels good. And so now I feel like, I don't know, I'm a little bit more purposeful now versus just a salesperson.
You mentioned, you know, you're the only woman at Blueprint, but investment sales in general tends to be a very male-dominated industry. So
For sure.
What is it that you love about investment sales, and would you encourage other women to go into investment sales, and why?
100%. Like, so there is one other broker at Blueprint that's a woman. And, you know, she started out also just kind of like learning, right, alongside the other brokers, and has moved her way up in the rankings as well. And I always said to her, I remember when I kind of went quickly and got to where I needed to get to and had conversations with her, is it was like, this is like the secret that nobody knows. Like, you can be so successful as a woman broker. And I feel like, I don't know, honestly, why people don't do it. There's so many women out there that do sales, a lot, right? There's like a ton. I mean, in medical sales, it's like heavy women on the women's side. Title, a lot of women.
Right.
It's a sales role. So I don't know why they don't do that. I do think that, I don't know if it's fear, if it's discomfort for getting into a place that's male driven, which quite honestly, it's male driven in like multiple places.
Right.
So I don't care where you're going or what industry you're going into. You're going to have to maneuver for a variety of reasons, whether it's male, female, or anything, age, you know, who knows, right? Experience, who you know. But I think that I think more women should do it. I think that women have a different way to deliver news to people. I think they have a different way on how they handle opportunity, a different way on how they handle relationships. It's not right or wrong, male or female, but I think that women have a softer touch. They're a little bit more emotional. They tend to be a little bit more connected on a different level with people. And the one thing, I mean, I can't tell you how many times people will say like, I mean, like jokingly, obviously, it's like, oh, I mean, I'd much rather work with you than so-and-so male, right? And it's funny and it's like, okay, whatever, ha ha ha, you know. To probably do. I think they enjoy the conversation, you know, or the way of, you know, thinking. It's just guys' mentality is different than a female's, and it always has been that for every aspect of life. So I think women have an edge, and I think more women just need to do it. And quite honestly, like the more women that would step in, I'd be like, oh, I finally have competition. But I don't feel that way with the guys, you know?
Yeah.
It's like with all the guys out there, I'm like, oh, he's super nice. But yeah, let me tell you why I can probably get that done better. Right. But if another woman stepped in, I'd be like, oh, shoot. No, but whatever, bring it on. Like, I think they should. I think that's great. I just think we have a different angle on things. That's all.
A different perspective. Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
So three questions. We'll take these one at a time here. What is your biggest accomplishment? What makes you the most proud?
I mean, that one for sure to me is landing partner at Blueprint. That's, you know, if I kind of try to go back to like the history of what I've done, I mean, it's interesting to think about how I got to where I am today. And I think that that's an accomplishment, but I think the biggest accomplishment was landing partner. Yeah, that meant a lot.
Well deserved. Well deserved. What have you found to be the most challenging in your career?
You know, like I said, I think that because I've only been in senior housing, and I would say each challenge is different to whatever vertical or industry that I'm in, right? I had challenges in all different types of my career, from, like I said, looking, you know, 22 years old out of college, looking like I was 12. I have a younger look than I am, and I think that that's lovely, except it was very difficult leading up until I finally got into like my 30s because nobody wanted to take me seriously. Okay. So I think my outward appearance and looking younger than I am, while every woman wants that was difficult from a business perspective. Okay. And then, you know, now I think, you know, to this day, even 8 years into Blueprint, even as a partner, even as a woman, like I still think there are times when it's like, I don't have certain bonds that other people might have because they started working together, you know, in the late 90s or early 2000s. Yeah. And so I'm always feel like I'm trying to forge those relationships, and prove that I should be here like everyone else should be here. So that is a challenge. I like them.
So how have you surprised yourself the most in your career?
How I surprised myself?
Yes.
You know, it's funny. This has been my whole career too. I remember when I was in medical sales, I often times had hit top performer and would go to the awards, you know, or trips, whatever. I made the trips. And I would be asked often, and I still get asked to this day, like, what makes you a success? And it's hard to put my finger on it. I had a girlfriend once like lay it out really well for me. She's like, I'll tell you exactly why you're successful. And she kind of like laid it out. And I thought, oh, okay, thanks. I think I'm just being me. And I think by being me and being passionate about the things that matter, success just follows.
Right.
To me, some of the things that I think are obvious in how you would respond or act or work are apparently not obvious to other people. And I think I've discovered that, you know, throughout the years is I guess maybe my work ethic and the way that I care about things are a little bit different than how other people are. And so I think that's made me a success because I care and I want to make sure that people are happy. I'm kind of a people pleaser. And I also don't I never take no for an answer. That could be a problem sometimes. Okay, maybe not never, but it's hard, right? It's hard for me to accept it. You really have to give me a reason for it. And I don't like seeing things left hanging. I like to see everything come to an end. Women like to see things wrapped up in a bow.
Yes.
And I like to think so if I have a deal that doesn't take, it never escapes my brain. So I'm always trying to figure out how to sell it.
Right. Right. Well, I think we were just talking about this too. I mean, good or bad, we do want to see things wrapped up nicely, and they don't have to end badly. It's just, but you do want to see,
Yeah.
As a woman, we do want to see everything wrapped up neatly and
you can move on.
Yeah, move on.
Right. But initially, I just need to see that we're, are we good? And if we're not good, I need to know why we're not good and how can I make that better?
Don't just leave me hanging. You get just
no.
So yes or no. I'll flip it away, but don't leave me hanging.
Yeah, right. I also think though, I love the reason that I got into brokerage. What I thought was interesting, in title, was I was so genuinely curious, and I think curiosity is a really good thing. And I learn by curiosity and by talking to people, and I just want to know why. Why do you invest in something? Why is that interesting to you? What is your strategy behind that? And I'm just genuinely interested to understand that. So I would ask all these questions being a title rep, and people would be like, what title rep needs to know that? And I'm like, I'm sorry, will you buy my title? But anyway, title wasn't the goal, right? In my brain, it was just learning.
Right.
And I still am that way. So
and that's wonderful. Curiosity is a wonderful thing. Well, speaking of curiosity, so and learning, what podcasts, what publications, what do you read? What do you follow?
I'll be honest, I wish I was the person that could sit down with a fictional book and read, or take 15, 20 minutes to read. And I know so many people that do, and I think reading is such a healthy thing. And I wish I could do more of it. And I think there's so many benefits of it. But when I stop and pause and think, well, what do I do from that perspective? I read all the time.
Oh, yes.
All the time. The way that I got into this space was reading senior housing business, right? Or senior care investors. I remember 𝗥𝗲𝗹 telling me, you need to read the senior care investor report that comes out monthly, it is your Bible. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. And so I literally would read. I would research who the operator was. I'd research who the ownership, who the seller was, who the buyer was. And I would look at their websites and I would read. Every day, the publications on my emails, and I read. It's just that all I do is I read a lot of business stuff. Now, the things that I do find interesting are books, or even audiobooks that are I don't know the word for self-help books, right? Sales strategy, or, think I'm into those types of books. The problem is I can never get through them because I'm on to the next, It's I listen to it on my walks. I figured out the whole audio thing works really well. I chime into Sevi's, her stories all the time. So 30 minutes is a really great amount of time to be able to get a walk in and listen to something like this podcast, or her podcast. And then if I have more time, I maybe put in an audiobook of something that people are like, oh my God, you have to read this book. But I getting to the end of it is I have started so many books that I only get a quarter of the way through. It's a little embarrassing. But I get the gist of it. I understand the point. Let's move on.
Well, and for anyone watching, it would be 𝗪𝗔 Petrus's her stories, which are absolutely amazing. And
amazing.
We both have had the opportunity to be part of that, and they are absolutely amazing. She is an absolutely amazing human being. So
oh yeah, and you learn a lot from that. Maybe you don't need to read, but you're listening to audio of people telling their story, or why things. I mean, I've even learned things about the industry and operations I never knew about. That's interesting. I don't realize that. That's a good point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when you're not reading, listening, or selling, what are you doing in your free time? And walking.
I know. Well, so I have two kids. My son is 19. He's going to his sophomore year of college at the University of Alabama. And my daughter is 17, going into her senior year of high school. So we're in the process of applications right now for that. So I will be an empty nester in a year, which is crazy. I have some very close friends who I love very, very much, and we go on vacations together. We, go drop over at each other's houses all the time. I love to go shopping with my daughter. My daughter and I started a jewelry business called Beach Blings, which is basically these jewelry pieces here.
Yeah.
And we started that during COVID, and that's been a learning thing for all of us. We get to enjoy the jewelry that we love. We get to give it to friends. We get to sell it to some people. It's totally a side hustle. She makes money along with some of her friends beating the bracelets. And so I keep it going for that purpose because they enjoy it. It's a little bit of a hassle for me, but they love it. So that's fine. That takes up my time. So yeah. And then, just, I think now my husband and I are trying to figure out what do we do next? So we're trying to come up with that. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be some new hobbies and things that we'll pick up.
And finally, what advice would you have for women, or really anybody going into the real estate industry? What would you say to them?
I mean, I think like anything is be curious about anything. Ask questions. My son wants to go into real estate, and he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And, he is like, I want to go into real estate. I want to do what you do. And I'm like, okay, well, like, do you really even understand what I do? Like, he knows I sell real estate, he knows I'm in senior housing, but he hears me, like when working from home, he hears the conversations. Mom's always on the phone. She's like buried in her phone. And so he sees that, and he sees that like your life is very busy doing what I do. But I was like, but you might not like love that. So I think it's be curious, explore the opportunities when you can at a young age. My encouragement to him is, maybe come intern at Blueprint, maybe go intern at a public REIT, maybe intern at a developer side, private equity. Like, yeah, maybe you want to get into banking. I mean, there's so many aspects. Just if you can explore, ask questions, like do that, and you'll figure out where you should be. You might start out as an analyst somewhere and then become the executive managing director at Blueprint, You never know.
Yeah.
People bounce from private, equity brokerage and back and forth. So it's like, just explore and be open to new opportunity.
No, that's great. That's a great perspective. So, well, Amy, it is always fun talking with you. I mean, your passion, your positivity, your enthusiasm, and your confidence is always just such a joy. So thank you so much again for being part of Wires Today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was so nice to chat with you, Amy, always.
So, well, I loved every second of it. I think everybody watching will love this, and to everyone watching, Amy, I hope that you enjoyed this, and thank you so much for joining us today and watching, and goodbye.
Bye.